morning, everybody. It's Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. A happy Easter to those that celebrate, and a happy Sunday to anybody who doesn't. I hope you're having a great weekend. Got a little dreary and wet, even a little chilly again here in the Northeast, but we're getting by. Welcome, everybody, on the McGrath Podcast Network, everybody watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter this morning. We thank all the groups that allow us to share this later, as some of our favorites, of course, are always scrolling across the bottom of the screen. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime, a love for baseball, Flo and Can at Bottom Line Sports. Great podcast on the Let's Talk Sports Network, who also is a good friend of this show and allows us to share to their Facebook page. Ken Krause at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts, and all those others, dozens that allow us to get to so many views every week, and we appreciate that. We're up a ton of views, by the way. 70,000 views the last 28 days, guys, to these shows. Thank you so much for all of that. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff on Ocean City, Maryland. Pittsburgh Focus, National Footprint. Been a guest there many times on the Sports Corner that he does with Smoking Jim Frazier on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Good to have you all with us. We'll talk about the Final Four matchups yesterday. Games didn't turn out to be barn burners, but some interesting stuff to take away from both. And we have our Final Four matchup of UConn and Michigan. Can UConn pull another? Miracle's all I can say, because this team just finds ways to win, but Michigan looks just like a machine right now. The women are playing today. We'll talk a little about South Carolina against UCLA and Gino Oriema and Dawn Staley's dust up, and Gino's total lack of I have no respect left for the guy. I'm sorry. This was a ridiculous outburst over a trivial matter, and his apology to me means nothing, because he didn't do it in person on camera. It's a form letter that he signed, basically. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about maybe the UNC job. Lloyd's out of that now. Maybe next. I don't know. Is Ann Arbor winning a title in Ann Arbor and continuing what he's built there better than going to Chapel Hill? I don't know. Boozer wins the AP Player of the Year. In baseball, we had our first ABS walk-off this week. That's exciting. CB Buckner's bad week. Connor Griffin debut. Had a great debut. Seemed to do it all. Soto hurt for the Mets. Mets with a nice win yesterday over the Giants. Giants stumbling, one of my surprise picks this year. Mark Vientos sparks 2 rallies yesterday, too. Polanco better not be hurt too long. Vientos might be back to where he was 2 years ago. Yankees with a nice comeback win yesterday. Ozzie Guillen gets his number 13 retired by the White Sox. We can talk about all of that and more in baseball. In the NBA, we had on the court, nice win for the Nuggets. They're 8th in a row now over the Spurs. Not the 8th in a row over the Spurs, but they're 8th in a row overall. Great game by Jokic and outduels Wemby. Don't count the Nuggets out. I realize it's one game, but they're playing great basketball, and this might be their last shot. Downs is hurt for the Knicks. They aren't beating anybody. The Lakers are down to just LeBron, as Luka and Reeves are both out. And Jaden Ivey, we didn't talk about the Jaden Ivey situation. I have some pretty strong feelings about this. Again, they're very similar to me to Colin Kaepernick on opposite sides of the aisle. But I guarantee you, if Jaden Ivey could play basketball at a decent level, he'd still be on the Bulls, by the way. In football, Kirk Cousins signs with the Vikings to mentor or start the Mendoza era, if they are still going that way, which we assume he would. Rodgers needs to make a decision. Ty Simpson seems to be trending up. A.J. Brown looks like now it'll be June 1st for any decisions made on him. to save cap hit for the Steelers. It's about half, I think. I think it goes from like 13 to 7 million. Stephon Gilmore retires. Nakua hits rehab. Elsewhere, Trump has signed an executive order saying college football players have 5 years to complete 4 and 1 transfer. Is that going to carry? He wants this in place for this season. Again, I don't know that this is going to carry the weight. And the Masters, Tiger and Phil, missing for the first time as a pair since I can remember. So just some of the stuff to talk about, but it's your show, obviously. And you guys take it away. Let's go, Danny Moore. Danny, good morning. Good happy Easter to you, buddy. Good luck to your UCLA women's team today against South Carolina. What's the line on that game, by the way? Oh, that's men. Where's the women? I just had the women up here somewhere. Where are the women? I'm gonna say South Carolina's got to be a prohibitive favorite in this game. Don't they put? Oh, they don't put up the betting line. Oh, there it is. 3.5. 3.5 for South Carolina. I like UCLA. And Danny, the whole thing about Gino Auriemma, a classless, ridiculous outburst by him. Dawn Staley, I mean, I guess showed some restraint. She had to be held back a couple of times, and she did say she'd kick Gino's ass, and she might. But Gino, listen, you've got to go on camera yesterday and apologize, or find Dawn Staley and apologize to her in person. This was ridiculous over a trivial matter. He's pissed he lost the game, and he's pissed the referees. Sent them to the foul line 6 times. Well, how many times did he get the benefit of that? Classless individual. I lost a lot of respect for Gino. I haven't always agreed with his methods necessarily. I do think he's, a bit arrogant, if you will. But I've respected him as a coach. I lost a lot of respect for him Friday night. And that won't change until he speaks about this. He had the audacity after the game to talk about, we have a certain way we like to carry ourselves when we win and we lose. Really? Ridiculous. But good luck to your and I don't think, though, Dan, you had made a comment that this was, I don't remember now, I'm paraphrasing too, and if I'm taking you out of context, you could certainly correct me, that this was one of the biggest upsets in women's college basketball history. I don't know, really, quite frankly. I don't feel like it is when we're talking about 1 against 1. I understand this UConn team was undefeated. Don't feel like it was as loaded as some previous UConn teams. So, in South Carolina's, not that far away from championships. So, big victory nonetheless, 14-point winner. And I'm going to go for your Bruins today. Chris F. Grave is with us on YouTube. Thank you, Chris. The Golden Knights fired a coach with an 80% chance to make the playoffs with 8 games left. They hired Tortorella, and they now are 1 point out of first. Listen, I like Tortorella. Did a great job when he was here with the Rangers. But he wears out his welcome. I mean, he'll be good for this year and probably next year, and then he'll wear out his welcome and get fired in Vegas as well. Vegas is going to be a hotbed of sports here pretty soon when the A's get there, the Raiders, maybe with a new era starting with Mendoza, who I'm not sold on, by the way, but who knows? Kirk Cousins there now. Maybe it'll be better this year. The Shakespearean geese. What did I say about Vikings? Did I say Vikings? Sorry, I meant Raiders. Cousins signs with the Raiders. I just had the Vikings on my brain to mentor Mendoza. Listen, he very well may start. I don't think Mendoza is ready to play every day in the National Football League. I really don't. We'll see. Had a great pro day, but when you set up all the conditions to maximize, how you'll look, that's good. And one thing I will say about his pro day is he one of the reasons he wanted to do it this way. And again, it's not altruistic because it's this big advantage for him as well, not performing at the combine and doing it at his own pro day, he does get to spotlight his receivers so that they can get some eyeballs on them as well. So, and we already expect at least one of them to go pretty high in the draft, I think. So anyway, he does well. I don't think he's ready to play just yet. Vikings, whatever. You might wish they had him when they watch Kyler Murray play. I still think Kyler Murray's going to do well in Minnesota, by the way. I understand, he isn't the classic quarterback. He's not Kirk Cousins, who Kevin O'Connell did well with. He's not Dalton, who Kevin O'Connell turned his career around. I wouldn't necessarily say that O'Connell turned Kirk Cousins' career around because he played pretty well with the Redskins. But I think he's just a great quarterback coach, and he's going to work with him on his strengths. That's what you do. You can't make somebody into something they are not, right? You have to coach to players' strengths. That's where a lot of coaches and managers and whatnot go wrong, in my mind, is they try to coach guys to the way they think they should play and not coach to their strengths. Quarterbacks, whatever position we want to talk about, and the quarterback certainly lends itself to that issue. Happy 61st birthday to Cardinal Chris Carpenter. He was a really good pitcher, by the way. 61 years old. Is that right? Great. That's amazing. I must be old, right? I want to see something too, because before I say this, I want to make sure this is accurate. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't say anything. Okay, good thing I didn't say anything about that, because another story I saw yesterday on Facebook that I jotted down, but I did not verify until just now. And by the way, another story too. Anniversary, if you will. 60 years ago yesterday, Tom Seaver made his first start for the Mets and changed the course of history for the Mets. Became one of the greatest pitchers in Major League Baseball history. I really believe, if I had to win one game, Tom Seaver would be one of the 5 guys that I'd choose. If I got to choose one, might be Koufax in his prime, but Tom Seaver. And if I wanted to teach a kid how to pitch mechanically, Tom Seaver would be the guy. There's no guy who saved his arm. He had some arm problems here and there, but this guy's mechanics were spot on, maybe better than any Major League pitcher that I've ever seen. Hello, Sue Ray. Happy Easter to you. Good to see the Perth contingent out today. Hope you're doing well. Sorry about the loss of your dad here a few weeks back. And hope your family's doing well. Happy Easter to you. Good to see you today, Sue. Bill Pulver, good morning. There are no kings in this country, Bill. Come on. Trump had a great line the other day, by the way. He said, they call me a king. He goes, how can I be a king? I can't even get a ballroom built. Funny's funny, please. If you can't laugh at that on the left, then come on, it's funny. Tiger Time, the good man is taking some time to work on himself in a different country, by the way. We don't have rehab countries here. This guy is lucky he's not in jail, by the way. If this was you or me, depending on what state you're in, you'd probably be still sitting in jail. And I do know, and again, I'm not taking it lightly. I understand he's got a problem, but you got to get yourself some help, and you've got to stop driving, man. And people have to stop apologizing for him. I know addictive personalities very well. In a very years ago, well, this is a while ago, know addictive personalities very well. Some people here will understand what I'm talking about. And, you know, a lot of times we spend too much time apologizing for them and not getting them help. So Tiger gets some help. I don't wish him ill. Just don't be driving down my street. And count your blessings, buddy, because there was nobody coming the other way. And, you know, this is a couple of times you could have killed yourself or somebody else. So I don't wish him poorly. We talked about Trevor Bauer. Chris, you might have missed it. We talked about Trevor Bauer Friday on the weekend playbook. Jack and I did. I didn't realize he signed with Long Island Ducks. Who, by the way, they play some pretty good baseball. Some of the independent baseball. In fact, the Tri-City Valley Cats now are an independent baseball team up here. Trevor Bauer's not getting another shot. I said this forever. I mean, he's just got a cancerous personality. I don't care about the last charges that were against him that were apparently bogus and dropped. And he can try to get him way back. But the guy's attitude really hasn't changed a whole lot from what I've seen of clips of him in Mexico and wherever else. You know, if he wants to be contrite and make his way back to the major leagues, then he needs to change his approach. He's still a great talent, but I don't want him in my clubhouse. Maybe some others do. I don't. Now I will say, good for Long Island Ducks. Another ticket seller. That's what these independent teams need too. By the way, whenever I talk about independent baseball, I've got to bring up, and I brought it up the MLB update Friday. Long Island Ducks, great. Tri-City Valley Cats, not much of a history because they've only been independent for a couple of years after being affiliated with the Astros. But the king of all independent teams, go to Netflix. If you have never watched The Battered Bastards of Baseball, you've got to watch it. It's about the 1970. I guess they were probably in play from like 73 to 77, something like that, 72 to 77. But Bing Russell owned them. Kurt Russell's dad, Bing, who was a character actor, was in like, I don't know, 300 Westerns. He was in like 200 episodes of Bonanza, Sheriff Deputy Clem. He said he was killed. Kurt was interviewed and said he was killed over like 100 times in movies. But Bing Russell owned this team, and it's a great documentary on independent baseball and what they had to go through and how they found players and how they won the love of a city in Portland. It was really a great story. Check it out. Oh, God. Good morning, JB. How are you, my friend? So lots to talk about. The Final Four yesterday. I do want to talk a little Jaden Ivey today, and because I see parallels to Jaden Ivey and Colin Kaepernick, right? Obviously, the things everybody argues about free speech, but until somebody speaks up and says something they don't agree with. Right? You cannot agree with Jaden Ivey. He's got a right to say it, though. He didn't say anything. I don't think he shouldn't have said anything except other than what he thought and he believed. And Jaden Ivey would still be playing, but Jaden Ivey would still be on that team if he could play. Just like Colin Kaepernick would still be playing in the NFL if he could play. Somebody would sign him. You know? The team made a huge mistake in saying he was released for conduct detrimental to the team. Why say that at all? Just cut him. He stinks. So, you know, why do we care? I mean, really, why do we even care what athletes have? And again, it doesn't matter to me whether they're saying things that I agree with or don't. And I'm telling you, I agree with necessarily all his comments. I don't know that we need to, you know, celebrate individual groups any more than we should ostracize them, right? So, I mean, but then he took it a little bit further than that. Someplace I wouldn't take it. But a lot of athletes have spoken out about, some of that, the celebrations their leagues do. And they didn't get cut. So Jay Navy gets cut because he can't play. Plain and simple. Not because of what he said or, he's having his First Amendment rights infringed on. Any more than Colin Kaepernick was. I was able to separate those two things. I'm sorry. Again, I was beat up pretty good during that situation. And here's a situation that falls more on my side of the table. Although, again, I don't agree with his comments. I'll be very clear. As conservative as I am, I'm very liberal in some of these social areas, as long as they're not infringing upon my own rights. But with Kaepernick and Ivy, I think the same thing. If they could play, they'd be in their respective leagues. But I digress. Any Sunday with a mention of Westerns and Bonanza is going to be great. Rifleman, Have Gun Will Travel, Lawman, Cheyenne, Bing Russell is probably in all of them. I love my old Westerns. I'm not right now I'm kind of in old detective mode rather than old Western mode, but Bonanza and Gunsmoke. You missed Gunsmoke here. You can't have this list without Gunsmoke, by the way. A lot of and by the way, Have Gun Will Travel. Paladin is one of my favorite characters ever, along with Steve McQueen and Wanted Dead or Alive. Another great show. So we can go talking about social issues to Westerns in a second here. So Chris asked Kevin Mensch, former Texas Ranger, who we had on the show here a couple of years ago, on his take on the automatic runner on second, which universally is despised by most of us. Here's his response. Terrible rule, and they treat these guys like they're little kids. Thank you. Jack Hirsch, Jack, if you're watching, that's a former Major League Baseball player, and I guarantee you 95%, if not more, of the former players would tell you the same thing. We can't play games any longer than 10 or 11 innings. It's just not fair to these guys. Just stop it. Stupidest rule ever put in. That's a great line, Neil. Speaking of great Westerns, Sienna did hire Nevada Smith, former Marquette. I believe he's a Marquette assistant, right? He's been around pro ball. He's been around college ball, and he plays an upbeat style. So he's going to have to do with an entirely new cast of characters as the entire starting five for Sienna's hit the transfer portal. But that was likely to happen anyway, probably, right? So anyway, congratulations to Nevada Smith joining the Saints. And by the way, we haven't even talked about, here I am, 24 minutes into the show. We barely talked about the Final Four yesterday. Say what you want. We'll talk about UConn. Rick, you can put up your comment right now. I don't want to steal your thunder. Put your comment up and I will post it. I want to repeat it for you. UConn finds a way to win. I don't think they'll find a way to win Monday, but we'll get to that in a second. They shoot 35% yesterday. Caravan again, 1 for 6, I think. What did he make? 1 hoop yesterday, I think. Am I right about that? 1 for 8. Sorry. He has shot terrible throughout this whole tournament. Did go 6 for 6 for the line. Did have some rebounds and assists. So he contributed in his 35 minutes. He's going to go in for his 3rd championship, by the way. We're never going to see a guy have 3 championships ever again, most likely, because they don't stay at one school or they're one and done or whatever. I mean, Terrace Reed is the only guy who really played well, I thought, for UConn. Mullins played well, had some big shots and big moments, was good from three. Had a couple good drives to the basket. Demary had 9 rebounds and 7 assists. Nice job there. But they win ugly. They take on their, I said this on the roundtable earlier, and I've probably said it other times. They take on, I think, the personality of their coach. And a lot of good teams do that. This team is gritty. And Jack mentioned, UConn's gritty, but Michigan isn't. Yes, I think good teams can be gritty as well. I don't think Michigan plays the type of gritty basketball that UConn does. There's Rick's comment that I was waiting for. Heart of a champion. You don't go down without losing. And again, it's not just the coach. Kerben is there for all of these championship runs. 2 back-to-back and maybe a third here in 4 years, right? Is it 3 out of 4? I think it is. And they played some close games in this tournament. If it gets to be a close game, then UConn might have a chance. Well, obviously they have a better chance to win a close game than a team they're behind by 30 points. They played well. They really kind of shut down Illinois. Illinois' offense really never, as well as they played in this tournament, their offense, and they really never got in gear. Their defense really had carried them, and their defense played pretty well yesterday. This is a pretty good defensive battle for a while. Illinois just couldn't put the ball in the basket either. I mean, they shot, what did they shoot? 34%, 23% from 3. They made a little run at the end, but every time they did, cut it to 3, let's say, then UConn would come back with a big 3-pointer. So, I mean, there was some excitement in this game, and it was close enough, I think, that I wouldn't call it a nail-biter, but, there was some interest here. And I'm listening to ESPN radio this morning, and those guys sometimes don't get it. And they're talking about what a disappointment the Michigan-Arizona game was. We expected this great game. That's why it was the second game. And, by the way, you got to get these games started before, like, 9:30 at night, guys. But the fact that it was a blowout made it a horrible game. Now, that's one way to look at it. I don't disagree. But if you want to watch a game for a couple hours and just appreciate tremendous basketball, you saw a pretty good Michigan team last night. Arizona did not just show up. Michigan took them out of this game from the beginning. Arizona's strength is inside. They never shot the ball that well most of the year from the outside, and they didn't last night. And they took away the big men inside. They got in foul trouble. Michigan's bigs. Mara played great. He was the best player on the floor after Ligon Blower. What's his name? Sorry. Pull up the other game. Lendeborg got hurt. By the way, he was dominant in the 14 minutes the 10 minutes he played before he got hurt. He played like 4 minutes in the second half. But Mara picked this up nicely. Gano is great at the point. He had 10 assists in this game. Just tremendous. This team is loaded. And they got 29 points, I think, or 25 points again off the bench. This team's having one of the best runs through this tournament that we've ever seen. So if UConn can find a way to keep this close, I do think it gives them an advantage that they've played some close basketball games. And Michigan hasn't. I'm not sure they can keep it close. Arizona's out of this game. Arizona's a better team than UConn. Better coach? Probably not. Tommy Lloyd's a very good coach. He's not Danny Hurley. And you can say what you want about Hurley. He's going for his third national championship in 3 years. And we forget what a great program UConn is. They're going for their 7th national championship since 1999. 1999. Nobody else has been that good. They would also pass the Tar Heels of North Carolina for all-time national champions, behind Kentucky and Danny Fuller's UCLA Bruins. Good stuff. No, and again, look at the women, and we were talking about the men, and Danny Hurley joked yesterday that he's been a bad influence on Gino, but Gino's been an arrogant SOB for a while. And congratulations, Neil, to your women's Gamecocks. That would sound funny, I guess, if we weren't living in the time we're living in now. Sorry. Inappropriate humor for a Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning. But Gino showed total classlessness the other night. He's always been arrogant. I've always respected him as a coach, but my respect level dipped a lot, not just with his outburst and how hypocritical he was in his post-game comments about we expect our team to carry themselves a certain way when we win and a certain way when we lose. Well, you didn't carry yourself very well, bitching and moaning about fouls. You had it your way a lot of times in that area, Gino. And then Dawn Staley doesn't come and shake his hand soon enough in the pregame, and he goes over and gets in her face. I would like to see Dawn Staley kick his ass, quite frankly. And then his apology on a form letter. Here, Gino, here's your form letter. Sign the bottom and we'll release it. Go on camera like a man and say you were beat. You acted like an ass. That's what adults do. You didn't teach your kids anything Friday night except how not to act. Don't do this. Classless, Gino. Hello, Reggie. Good to have you with us today. I don't know if we've had Reggie with us live. I've seen Reggie liking a few things on TGI Sports Talk. I know he's following the show and the page, and we appreciate that. Reggie, who's your team? Is it Michigan? Speak up or forever hold your peace. You've heard of the Hardy Boys. The Milwaukee Brewers once had a setup closer combo of Mike Fetters and Bob Wickman, former Yankee Bob Wickman. Fetters was a decent pitcher. Wickman had his moments. They also had a shortstop named J.J. Hardy, by the way. So I'm not sure. Where do the Hardy Boys come into that? Where do the Hardy Boys come into that, Chris? Chris is bringing it today. Oh, God, who doesn't remember the old Bob Uecker commercials? We loved them. I'd love to come on. Give us a promo, too. Let us know when your shows are on, Reggie, and I'm happy to come on anytime. Well, not anytime, I guess. I'm retired, so I only have a limited slots available. I'm just kidding. Let me know when. If we're not friends on Facebook, well, send me a private message to Keith Engle on Facebook. We must be friends, I'm guessing. And if not, let me know, and we'll find out. I'll find a way to reach out to you. Happy to do it, though, Reggie, and give your show a plug. Tell us when you're on and how guys can find you. Happy to plug shows of guys who come in and support me, and I'm happy to support them. Donna, good morning and happy Easter to you. Hope everything's well in Pennsylvania. A little cold and dreary here today, I can tell you. I like Easter when it's very spring-like. We've had a lot of rain. She might have. She did. It's funny. I watched a video last night where a guy was lip reading pretty much everything that they said, and he was very good, if he was right. But she did threaten to kick his ass after he walked away. I'm not sure I wouldn't bet against him. That's against her. So, you've been here? You've been here and commented before. I haven't even noticed you. I apologize. You're in Tennessee. Oh, you're a Tennessee fan. Rick Barnes. Listen, I thought they were going to beat Illinois last week. Was it Illinois? Who'd they play? No, they got beat by Michigan, right? Yeah. This is a juggernaut, this Michigan team. That Tennessee team of Rick Barnes, one of his better teams, I think. He's always got good defenses. This team seemed to be able to put the ball in the bucket, but they ran into a buzzsaw against Michigan. So you're a Tennessee fan for football and basketball, I assume. And again, do message me, Reggie, because I'd love to come on at some point. Always happy to pop in when I can to other shows. Sorry for the sissies. Luther Gillis. Love Magnum. Can you believe Magnum's about to be like 80 years old? Well, Thomas Selleck is about to be 80 years old. We were watching something the other day, and I said to my wife, I can't believe Magnum, why am I saying all of a sudden? Stop that right now. Magnum debuted 45 years ago, almost. It's outrageous. Yeah, it's a rainy time. April showers bring May flowers, we hope. Joe Adele, he made the highlight reel 3 times last night. Stole home runs from Cal Raleigh, Naylor, and J.P. Crawford. What a great job by Joe Adele last night. And they won the game 1-0. And he's had 10 of these, and I think he leads the major leagues in home runs stolen since 2020. So a guy who, under the radar, a really good player. The only thing would have been better if Torrey Hunter had got the managing job, and he was in the dugout when this happened. But Artie Moreno said they got to see they got entertaining baseball, and we got to win, which is really besides the point because the fans don't care about winning, according to Artie. Not even in their top 5 priorities. Yes, it is. A great job by Joe Adele making sure the Angels got to win yesterday. Mets also with a nice win yesterday, 9-0 over the Giants. Giants struggling at 3-6. I'd pick them to finish second in the West and win a wild card and go to the NLCS. Kiss of death. It's early. It's 9 games in. I'm not giving up on my pick. But a couple of them aren't doing well. The A's aren't doing well. The Giants aren't doing well. Mets with a nice 5-4 start again. Listen, you know who's off to a good start is Mark Vientos. He was 4 for 5, I think, yesterday. He's hitting 500 almost. And Polanco's got a Achilles problem. He may not find his way back in the lineup if Mark Vientos has found his way back to his form of 2 years ago. Bichette's starting to hit a little bit. Yankees with a nice comeback win yesterday, off to a good start, 7-1. Dodgers are 6-2. Ohtani gets off the home run schneid on Friday. I don't know if he hit any more since Saturday, but Sideline Sports Podcast on Facebook, Sidelines Podcast on YouTube. Or YouTube at Home Team Show and YouTube Sideline Report Podcast. Okay. I had trouble reading that. I apologize, Reggie. Sometimes I haven't had enough coffee yet by 9:40. And I've only been, sitting at this desk since about 6:40 on a Sunday morning. Get ready for the Roundtable show on the McGrath Podcast Network and this show. Fortunately, I've got you guys to help carry the load here on Sunday mornings because it is your show. So back to the Final Four a little bit. Michigan, again, just amazing. Lindenborg goes out early, dominant while he played. But Mara was the best player on the court last night. Danny, where are you? Where's Danny Fuller? I mean, the former UCLA Bruin. Where's he from, by the way? Spain, I think. He's from Spain. 18, sorry. 24 in this Final Four to talk to you about. I talked a little bit last week about guys from professional leagues in Europe. And I'm not saying all these guys played in professional leagues. I have no idea. Are going to be eligible to play in the NBA under new rule. The NBA are going to be eligible to play in college under the new Wild West we live in. If they have college eligibility, it's not going to matter whether they played in the pros or not. 24 international players from 18 different countries on this Final Four, these Final Four rosters yesterday. I don't have a problem with that. Illinois had some of their best players, international players. You're going to see a lot more of this. Unless, well, with NIL, this will happen. You're going to see guys who get drafted, maybe even guys. Well, we saw a guy from the G League try to return to Baylor this year. You're going to see guys who get drafted and don't make teams and have college eligibility try to go back and play. But, that's a landscape we live in today. And I don't think any executive orders from, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is really going to make a difference. An executive order was signed and they'd like it go into place this year, but whether the NCAA even enforces it is a different story. 5 years to play 4, which makes sense. We've had this rule before, and 1 transfer. Got to get rid of this Wild West, man. Late Alex Cole, I didn't know Alex Cole passed away. Was a Cardinal prospect. When he was a rookie with the Cleveland Indians, he mentioned the gratitude that Willie McGee and Vince Coleman took to him. I remember Alex Cole. He was an actor. That's a different Alex Cole. UNC job's still open, by the way. Kansas job will not open. As I mentioned on Wednesday night, the news broke during our Sports Huddle show that Bill Self will stay in Kansas at least another year. So that job is out of the running. Brad Underwood was mentioned as a potential successor there. Both coaches 3 of the coaches. Well, if we don't count Brad Underwood, 2 of the coaches in this Final Four had been mentioned for the UNC job. Dusty May still could go there. Tommy Lloyd will not. He's signed an extension with Arizona, but I don't know how good this UNC job is anymore. It's a great job. I shouldn't say how good is it. But is it good enough to leave Michigan? Who's obviously given Dusty May the resources to work with there as he's taking his team from last place in the Big Ten 2 years ago to probably a national championship. I mean, historically, obviously, you'd want to coach North Carolina over Michigan. Yeah, somebody mentioned Danny Hurley yesterday for the UNC job. He's not going to leave UConn why would he leave UConn for North Carolina? I mean, for all intents and purposes, UConn is now historically a better program than Carolina. If they win Monday night, they'll have 7 championships. They're tied right now at 6 with UNC. By the way, they won them all since 1999 as well. And also, Michigan is going for just their 2nd title in their history. Their first since 1989. They've been in a few finals. They got to some finals with the Fab Four and the infamous timeout by Chris Webber. But they're going to go for their first victory or championship in almost 40 years. But UConn might be a better job than UNC right now. Landscape's changed in college basketball, man. The Tar Heels and Dukes of the world, they don't have all the advantages that they used to have because they can recruit from everywhere, including across the pond. Boozer did get the AP Player of the Year yesterday, by the way. Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska was the Coach of the Year. Great job by him. Great fit at Nebraska after failing it in Chicago in the NBA. What's that say? Oh, I was going to say, I wrote something about Michigan here that I can't read. Hello, AC. Good to have you with us. Our resident poker star. Can I say that? Or is it like copyrighted for the online poker game? Harry Carey often half snapped. I think I know what you mean by half snapped. I don't think you could do that today. I don't think cancel culture would get him for being drunk during games. I'll say it straight. And it was very obvious that there was many times Harry Carey had too much to drink during Cubs or White Sox games. I don't remember him with the Cardinals. I'm too young, which I don't say a lot about a lot of things. But I don't think it wouldn't fly in today's world. Cancel culture, more, for guys like me, guys like Jaden Ivey. Yeah, remember, there's two different sides to cancel culture too, right? Most of it is from one side, in my opinion, but I'll get myself canceled here eventually. Hell, I apparently I hate women. Because, the women's basketball tournament is kind of predictable. So I say it's predictable, isn't it? I guess it's a little unpredictable once you get to the Final Four because UConn was not expected to lose to South Carolina. But the early parts of this tournament are as boring as anything I've ever seen. I don't know why they take 64 teams when it's very obvious they don't have Cinderellas that win even one game, much less two or three. Geez, these teams are losing by 50 and 60 points, some of them. So it's not competitive. That's what I said. Take 16 teams and be done with it. Where is Reggie? Reggie's still here? Who's your baseball team, Reggie? Oh, I wanted to talk about the NBA a little bit. We don't talk a lot of NBA, but I'll throw a couple things out there. Well, we were talking about Jaden Ivey, or I was. People worried about getting canceled. I don't know that the East has any chance. The West is loaded. I thought the Lakers had a chance in the playoffs. Now I think they're one and done. Austin Reeves is out 4 to 6 weeks. Luka's out. We don't know how long. LeBron's not carrying his team to a playoff victory against anybody by himself. I think Denver's still alive, though. And for whatever reason, two things can be true at once. I say something that Jack Hirsch called me Shakespearean this morning, and I sense it wasn't a compliment, but I'm going to take it as a compliment because nobody said anything ever compared me with anything to do with Shakespeare before. So I'll take it as a compliment, even though I'm sure it wasn't meant that way. I said that Jokic and Murray know that this might be their last chance. And he got all over me that it's everybody wants to win. Everybody. Both things can be true at once. Everybody can want to win, and they can believe. And the whole point is they have a little extra motivation than everybody else over here that wants to win because they know they don't have that many more chances, if any, after this left. They're both getting long in the tooth. Jokic is playing great basketball. Great duel with Wemby last night, beating the Spurs. They took the eventual champions to 7 games last year. I think Denver's a legitimate upset candidate in the West and could win their second championship in a handful of years. Is it likely? Probably not. I don't think it's likely anybody from the West is going to get beat, whoever comes out of there. I don't think the East is going to beat them. Boston probably would have the best chance if they're a cohesive unit. Jason Tatum is healthy as he can be. Brown is letting him be Jason Tatum. The other thing, too, in the NBA, LeBron this week has come under some fire. He's always come under fire for something. I don't really I find myself defending LeBron more than most, I guess. I'm a fan of his game, right? I'm not a fan of everything he does off it. I mean, everybody in Memphis and Milwaukee is now pissed off at LeBron because he said, basically he doesn't know why they have teams. Memphis should move to Nashville. Milwaukee should move to wherever because it's horrible spending a Tuesday night in Memphis or a Thursday night in Milwaukee or whatever he said. Basically implying they shouldn't have NBA teams. They should go to better cities. And if he wouldn't have played if he got drafted by Memphis. He would not have played. Who cares? Why is this a big deal? I didn't see this game, by the way, Neil. I did see portions of the South Carolina UConn game. I didn't watch any of the UCLA game. I mean, you can say some of UConn's games have been ugly snorefest too. I mean, this game yesterday, the two teams combined to shoot 35%, 34% from the field. That's not pretty basketball. And I'm only picking UCLA today because I want Denny Fuller to get a championship in something. Oh, he gets it in the Dodgers. I forgot. Maybe I root for you now, Neil. You don't root for other teams that win. You can get going if you want. And you know how I feel and where I lean, AC. But this has nothing to do with what he said. And the guy can't play basketball. If Jaden Ivey was scoring 20 points a game and rebounding 9 a game, he'd still be on the roster. He can say what he wants. Anybody can say what they want. This is no different, as I said, no different than Colin Kaepernick in my mind. If he could play, he'd be in the league. He wasn't any good. People forget he wasn't any good. They think, oh, he went to the Super Bowl. Well, he went to the Super Bowl on a tricked-up offense, and after that, he was awful. Jaden Ivey couldn't get off the bench. He wasn't good enough. They should have just cut him and not said they cut him for conduct detrimental to the team. They shouldn't have said that. It's stupid. He has a right to his opinion, and he wouldn't have got cut if he was any good. I got a bet on the Celtics before Tatum came back, 14-1. That's a good bet because, again, Boston. If somebody in the East is a shot, in my mind, it's going to be Boston. My Knicks, now Downs is hurt. I don't know how bad or how long he'll be out. But the Knicks are missing something. They never should have fired Thibodeau. I mean, and this season is probably going to show that. I want to hear Leon Rose has to go. If this team is a one and done, if they go out in the first round of playoffs or even the second round of playoffs, Leon Rose said that Tom Thibodeau was the problem. He was the reason they couldn't go any further. He took them as far as they could. And we got Mike Brown. Mike Brown hasn't done a horrible job this year. They're going to win about as many games as they won last year. But to me, they've got to get to the finals or they were wrong in firing Thibodeau and hiring Mike Brown. Love seeing the huge swig from that mug when talking about Harry Carey. Swear to God, there's nothing in here but coffee, I promise you. I have been known to have a beer during the MLB update on a Friday afternoon now and again, but that's rare as well. John Gonzalez, our good friend, from the Sports Authorities. And thank you, Danny, for the post you put up about driving followers, and John Gonzalez, a big part of that. I don't know why it just came up 2,000 because we're about 2,400 now. I don't know why we're just getting that post, but I want to thank everybody from all you guys who follow, the guys who shared, like Danny Fuller and Chris and Rick and AC. AC shares the show a lot, I know. John, of all the groups that I have affiliations with now, John was the very first guy that said, hey, post your content to my page or to my group. Best admin out there. Love his stuff. Great nostalgia stuff, too. Love it. It's just ironic he bashes Memphis but loves that. That's actually kind of funny, actually. It is ironic. He went to and he went there voluntarily. Well, I guess first time he had to go there because he got drafted. But he went there a second time voluntarily. So, I would think Memphis is better than Cleveland. At least they got like barbecue and shit, right? So, excuse my French. Milwaukee. I did mention in passing the Yankees were 7-1 and a nice comeback win yesterday. In my predictions, I had the Yankees finishing second to the Blue Jays and making a wild card, not making it to the ALCS. I always qualify those statements that I'd like to be wrong. That the Yankees are able to get off to a 7-1 start with Garrett Cole at least a few weeks away still, probably 1st of May. Rondon, who I'm not a big fan of, out. Volpe out for at least a few more weeks. Again, probably figure May 1st for these guys. And they're 7-1, off to a great start. The pitching has been tremendous. Ben Rice has been really good. The pitching, Cam Sheetler is going to be really, really good. The fact that we're going to have this discussion about Nolan McLean and Cam Sheetler, I hope this is the case. I really do. You know, I talked about Tom Seaver with the Mets earlier. You know, Seaver, there was never, growing up a Yankee fan, there was never like an equivalent to Tom Seaver on my team, pitching wise. Mel Stoudemire was getting up in age and was not the pitcher that Seaver was, obviously. I hope these two guys stay healthy and that we have this debate for the next 15 years about Cam Sheetler and Nolan McLean about who's going to own New York. Great. And they're playing great baseball. They came back yesterday and won. Kind of a sloppy game. Again, I was switching back and forth. I did have I had the Final Four on, the Yankees on the iPad. So I was watching both at the same time. But hey, they're playing great baseball. Again, a 7-1 start. If you told me we were going to get away 7-1, I'd been happy as a lark. If you tell me we get out of April in first place, I'd be happy. Told me we'd be ahead of the Red Sox by 5 games a week into the season, a little more, 10 days into the season. I'd even been happier. Sorry, AC. Yeah, I'm telling you that he's not playing because he can't make a team. He's not good enough. I agree with that. I'm telling you that he would not have been cut if he was averaging 20 points and 9 rebounds. He would not have been cut. Colin Kaepernick would be playing in the NFL all the way through this entire controversy with him if he was good enough. Reggie Lewis killed 2 people. Ray Lewis. Sorry, Reggie Lewis. Ray Lewis killed 2 people and he came back. These sports teams don't care about character. I do. They don't. If you can play, they're going to find a way for you to play. Said this all through the Colin Kaepernick thing, all through it. And I'll say it about Ivy. Yes, they made a mistake because they said they cut him for conduct detrimental to the team. That was a huge mistake on the Bulls' part. But if he made these comments and he was averaging 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists, he'd still be on a team. Nobody's going to convince me of anything else. Who will win the, I don't know, Chris, Stanley Cup? Don't diss my boy Jim Behringer. There's no reason for that. Listen, the reason for no hockey talk has been me. And again, you guys bring it up and we'll talk about it. I follow, especially on this show, I just follow where you guys go. I would prepare more for hockey if we were talking hockey. You know, and I'm the first to admit I love playoff hockey, but I can't get into the regular season. And you're talking about the Stanley Cup, so we'll talk about it. I'm a fair weather fan, and when the Rangers suck, I suck as a hockey fan. Quite frankly, I just do. Now, you're going to ask me who I think's going to win? I'm going to say, don't count out the Tampa Bay Lightning. They always seem to find a way to make themselves relevant. Don't count out the Sabres. I think the Sabres are a great story this year, bouncing back with Lindy Ruff back as their head coach for the second time. Don't count out the Penguins. I think there's some great stories in hockey this year. The fact that the Canadians are playing well, the Sabres are playing well, the Penguins are playing well, the Red Wings have played well. Some really good historic franchises are playing really good hockey. Out west, I don't know how the Avalanche can't advance. I mean, they are far and away, I think, the best teams out there. Sorry, CA. I know you're going to talk about your Stars. Vegas, as Chris mentioned, has a new head coach. I'm not sure why you don't like Jim Behringer, Chris. You can feel free to let me know, but I didn't say he was cut during the season. I said if he could play, he'd been on a team. And listen, I think both these guys should be allowed to say what they want to say. They didn't do anything that hurt anybody else. I don't agree with Cap. I don't even agree with Jaden Ivey, quite frankly. I mean, I agree to the point that I don't think any more than I said this earlier, by the way, you know, we shouldn't be we shouldn't necessarily celebrate one community any more than we should ostracize that same community. They just are, just like I just am. I don't need somebody to celebrate me and my community. And by the way, other guys in baseball, in the NFL, and the NBA have spoken up about this topic and not been cut. And I don't think you can argue me that he stinks. In fact, I think he was hurt, quite frankly. I don't even know he's sitting on the bench because he's been hurt. And he can't play anyway. That's why he's not in the league. Now, he'd be allowed to have his First Amendment right if he was scoring 20 points a game. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. I don't know a way to prove that unless I find somebody's comments who is doing that. We've seen it in baseball. You know, and look at it. I don't have to agree with people to defend their right to say what they want to say. Because everybody in this country has a right to be wrong. But the fact of the matter is, these two guys, they're really in the same situation in my mind. That's nitpicking, saying one was in season, one was out of season. And I don't remember whether Cap stayed that whole season or not. I'll take your word for it that he did. But he couldn't play. He was sitting the bench, which kind of also makes my point for me that he didn't play again after that because he stunk. My point is, these leagues will find room for guys, whatever their controversial comments might be. If they can play the game, they'll find a way to keep them in the game. Hello, Matt. Happy Easter. Happy anniversary to your parents. Probably shouldn't have a contentious debate about this on Easter Sunday. I don't think Ben Rice can play third base. Do you? Yankees have a problem at third base. I mean, Ryan McMahon's never going to hit. Very poor fundamentals yesterday, by the way, on a base hit. It really didn't turn out to matter. But the Marlins were leading at the point that was a base hit. No, he didn't cover third. Well, in his defense, he was trying to get the ball. So anyway, he can't hit. He's a decent fielder. The Yankees are going to have to make a move. Spencer Jones now is getting up into the age of, I want to say he's 20. Is he 26 years old, John? 25. He's getting up in like Aaron Judge rookie age pretty soon. They're going to have to make a move. I don't think Ben Rice can play third base, though. You can't defense. You can't sacrifice defense when the offense is good enough right now, I think. And by the way, Rosario tears it up when we're playing a lefty. So I guess we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll try him there. I don't know. He seems to be a pretty good athlete. I mean, he was a catcher. They do have lots of talent at minors. I agree. It's possible you see Lombard come up late in the year, play third base too. That's possible. I have read articles to that effect, and soon enough. He wasn't good enough. He's not good enough. You can get anybody. My point, you're not, I don't think you're following me, AC. If he was good enough, meaning better than what he is, he'd still be playing. There's 100 guys you can put on a bench to do what I keep wanting to call him Phil Ivey, and it's ironic when I'm talking to you, right? You can find 100 guys to do what he does, which is like nothing. What's his career numbers? It isn't like he just walked in the league today. Yeah. Come on, where are you? He shoots 43% for his career. It's hard to read today. Well, he did average 16, 15, 17 his first 3 years. Since then, he sucked. Well, that's this year. All right. Maybe he's better than I'm giving him credit for. This year, he sucks. He didn't play through that controversy. He sat on the bench. And he wasn't any good. I'm never going to stop. You guys can throw whatever you want at me. I'm never going to stop saying he was any good. The Celtics have plenty of guys that are worse than him and that are still on the team. Well, again, if he was better and good enough, they wouldn't have cut him. I'm not going to change my opinion. Blue Jays and tough. They barely beat Oakland. I like Oakland. They're off to a tough start. Colorado and the White Sox stink. Now here come the Dodgers, and they play 22 on the road in April. That's a tough start. It is a tough way to start for the Blue Jays. So the only thing they have going for them is they're 4-4 with all that. Red Sox already 5 games back. Teams don't just cut the worst guy in a team on the team. What? Another guy talking into his phone. I need punctuation sometimes to read these long things. Teams don't just cut the worst guy in a team. The worst guy in a team is still on the team. He sits on the bench and the team keeps him because he's cheap and it's not worth getting another worst guy in the team. Anybody they replace him with is going to be just as bad. That also is my point. They can get anybody to be just as bad as him. I'm not saying, look at AC, to be clear, I'm not telling you he didn't get cut because of what he said. He wouldn't have got cut for what he said if he was averaging 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. He wouldn't. I'm telling you, he wouldn't. Ray Lewis killed 2 people. Didn't miss a game. Don't let the air out of football, though. Is that the same comment? Yeah, I think it's the same comment. Danny Fuller's a radical figure, but he has talent as a key member of the Sports Authority's team. It's right. That proves my point. Danny Fuller is a very polarizing figure. Doesn't get cut by the sports authorities. You either, AC. I'm going to have fun and laugh. Don't think I'm laughing at you, AC. I'm having fun. I get very worked up over these things, you know? Because, first of all, nobody should care. Nobody should care what, and again, I wanted to call him Phil Ivey. Can I just call him Phil Ivey and assume the World Series of Poker suspended him? That'd be a bigger story to me. Nobody cares what Jaden Ivey has to say. Nobody. Nobody cares what Colin Kaepernick had to say. Nobody cares what Hollywood stars have to think or music stars. Nobody cares. And nobody should care. I don't care. I don't boycott movies. I don't boycott sports stars. I mean, if they beat up women, whatever, then yeah, I do. Something that has a lasting effect on somebody's life, yes. What time is it? 10:15. Got to get out of here on time today, guys. Well, we have been anyway, but got to get right to Easter brunch right after this. See my beautiful granddaughters. My wonderful mother-in-law. Oh, and their kids' parents as well. Looking forward to all that. Love them all. When the Bulls said they cut him, are you talking into a phone too? When the Bills said they cut him for what they said, it wasn't a mistake. It was the truth. I didn't say it was a mistake. I said they should never have said that. So I didn't say they made a mistake and meant not to do it. Yeah, I know. They cut him for contact. I'm not saying, again, I guess it's hard for me to get this point across because two things can be true at the same time. Again, yes, they cut him for what he said. Yes, they would not have cut him if he was averaging 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. That's all I'm saying. There are plenty of horrible players on the Celtics that say controversial things, and everybody ignores it because they're liberal. Nobody ignores liberal shit. They didn't ignore Colin Kaepernick. That's my point. He got the same treatment, and they both stink. Please don't make me sit here and defend liberals. Please. Again, you got to have an open mind about these things. I'm not wrong. I don't care what team he was on. And I don't know I don't know who the Celtics are to say controversial things because I haven't heard anything because they stink and we shouldn't care. I shouldn't care and you shouldn't care what basketball players have to say about anything. Or actors or musicians. I don't care. Not because I agree with them, I can tell you that. Most of them. I do agree with the Tim Allens of the world. I think I agree with the Kurt Russells of the world, too. If I'm not mistaken, I think Kurt Russell's one of the good guys. But I don't care either. I don't really care what they say. Even though I agree with them. Why should that matter? Gene Simmons said it absolutely right, by the way. And he was talking about these guys should just shut up. They should just shut up. Nobody cares what they got to say. He didn't say they should just shut up. They also said nobody should care about what they have to say, including him. I don't care what they have to say. Jap, Cap. Not really. I mean, to me, that's just a circumstance. Kaepernick would have been cut. Kaepernick would not have been back with that team, contract or no contract. No, I don't really see how that makes a difference. I think that's just a circumstance in the thing. They were treated exactly the same way. At the end of the day, they were kicked out of their respective sport. I don't know that they should be, but I'm telling you, Colin Kaepernick. Oh, you don't see my point. You keep wanting to make yours, and it's fine. I guess I see. Yes, I see the difference. I see the difference. If you want me to admit I see the difference, I see the difference. That doesn't change my point, which is also accurate, that if they could play, they'd be in the league. Show me another instance of anybody with again, a conservative point of view or a liberal point of view that can play the game and isn't allowed to. Give me one example. Because the two examples we have in front of us, they can't play. That's the bottom line in my mind. I got you. I didn't think we were talking about the Japanese all of a sudden. Yeah, that's wrong. That's 100% wrong. If they act horribly, then they should be ostracized, yes. But just for the fact of them being who they are, no, they should not be ostracized. That entire community should not be ostracized for the for the way that the vocal majority speaks. I don't know about the majority. I'll say the vocal majority, the people that actually speak up with crazy thoughts. No different. It's the radical part of any community is the problem. I know plenty of people in this community. I married two of them as a registered minister. I don't care what people are. You can't just put all of them into one bucket, AC. That makes you no better. That makes you no better than the people on the left who are trying to put you in the same bucket and everybody else in the same bucket on this side of the aisle. I don't know how we got into this. I should have kept my mouth shut. It's not about, I don't agree. Again. Well, that's fine. And then the NBA is a liberal piece of crap in your mind, and you should stop watching them. That's it. Stop watching them. Be like all the people who stopped watching the NFL when Colin Kaepernick kneeled and players were all kneeling. Be like everybody who stopped watching the NFL. You know how many people stopped? 0. At least people that I know, every one of them who said, I'm never going to watch again, never going to watch again. They knew what was going on in every single game. Never going to watch again. You got to be able, who cares? I don't care about Phil Ivey. I don't care about Jaden Ivey. I don't care about Colin Kaepernick. I don't care about George Clooney. I don't care about what any of them think. I can go and watch their movies. I can go and watch the games, and I don't care about the other stuff. That's a different bucket, man. Cap sat on the bench because he wasn't good enough. They didn't cut him because he wasn't good enough. They let him stay and protest. They didn't let him stay. They ended up not bringing him back. I don't understand how you can have that argument. Yeah, he can't play. He couldn't play. I'm claiming horrible players get caught when they're distractions, and that's not the situation for Democrats. This isn't to me, this is not, you're making this too black and white, by the way. My point is, don't listen to these guys at all. Who cares? Again, well, then keep your mouth shut, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. Personally, I don't think they should be cut just because of what they say. Nobody should be, but I also don't care. I can tell you honestly, I don't care. Because I guarantee it happens both sides. You haven't told me one guy who has been ostracized that was any good anyway. Yes, because I can't understand. I'm not smart enough to understand what you're saying, AC. I understand. Not smart enough. My point's going over your head because you can only see one side. I can see more than just my side of my viewpoint. Fortunately, I don't take offense to anything. Okay, fine. Let's get back to some sports because this is boring the hell out of me now. Should never brought it up. We did talk a little about Adele stealing home runs from Cal Raleigh, J.P. Crawford, and Naylor last night in a 1-0 win. One of the few things the Angels got going for him out there, Matt. And your owner still doesn't care because he thinks that was the win was like the 5th best thing that happened last night in the player's mind. Here's the thing I'm telling you. I just don't care what they have to say. Giancarlo Stanton current has twice as many hits as he has strikeouts. That'll change, by the way, Chris. Make it a double pepperoni. Gino's back in town. Give it. Listen, it's only a matter of time. In May, he's going to have a 2 weeks where he strikes out, 20 times and 30 at bats. He's having a good streak, and that's who he is. He's a very streaky player. Plays great in moments and horrible at other times. Pete Rose was Pete Rose was really never good at any of these positions, but that's a good example of a guy who can move around. I just feel like you need better defense. The Reds were, that team was good enough. And they also had Concepcion who could cover the whole left side of the infield. Rose was competent at third base. He was never going to win a Gold Glove, but it's a decent analogy, John. I think Ben Rice, maybe they try him over there. Wouldn't hurt. Not while they're winning. While they're winning, just keep playing good. You know what I need out of third base right now is good defense. If I'm getting offense from everywhere place else in the field, and I'll get better offense out of shortstop once Calabero isn't playing there every day. You're going to get offense out of the rest of this lineup. Basically, I think I can live with just defense at third base, assuming McMahon can hit his weight. Again, I'm not going to change whatever. So he's better than I think he is. I still don't care what he has to say. He is the best fielding 200 hitter for sure. I don't want to skip your comments, but I'm done with this conversation for today, AC. Kaepernick would make sure everybody knew what he was doing was the only reason I heard about Ivy was because the NBA cut him. Nobody would have known that he even said it if the NBA didn't make a big deal about it. True. That part's true. But again, it goes to my point that who cares? Why should they make a big deal? They shouldn't have made a big deal about it. I agree. If they're a leftist organization that you don't want to deal with, then you tune out the NBA. That's fine. It's your right. Listen, everybody's got a right to say what they have to say. I guarantee you were having a fit during the Kaepernick time. I wasn't, because I am a free speech guy. You have a right to do and say things that are wrong, that aren't, yelling fire in a crowded theater. And I understand I'm not smart enough to understand your side of the argument. I understand that. Listen, Stan is going to have great runs like this. He just happened to have one at the beginning of the year where the Yankees could really use it. So thank you. Keith hasn't boycotted it. I love Danny Fuller. Where'd Danny go? Danny had to run out to church this morning at 6 a.m. We had him on the round table this morning. Love Danny. Love you too, John. You guys are the best, and appreciate everything you've done for me in this show. I'll tell you right now. No, I don't either. You don't need to worry about that. You could listen. That's fine. You can do what you have to do. I'm not telling you to stay. I don't end friendships over. I end friendships over people who do things that hurt other people. Hurt other people, like beating up a woman, child, dog. There's a lot of people that I don't agree with. Apparently, believe me, you and I agree on a whole lot more, and you know that, than we don't. I'm telling you that I am not grouping this entire group of people like you want me to, and I'm not going to. I refuse to do that. If that's a problem for you, then I understand. Yes, then stop watching them. Again, what choice do you have? It's a capitalistic society. They can espouse anything they want. And you can stop watching. I don't agree with the fact. I certainly don't agree with the fact that we should. I said. You took this a step further, AC. I didn't. I said I don't think they should single out any community to celebrate or ostracize. You're the one who took it a little further. One thing is okay, the other isn't. I say both are not okay. Why didn't the Niners cut Kaepernick when it happened like the Bulls did for Ivy? Yeah, that's a huge difference. I don't know. I don't remember, and I don't really care. Other than the fact he didn't stay in the league because he couldn't play. And all the liberals out there told me that no, he was being blackballed. And I said, no, he's not. He can't play. If he could play, they'd have found a place for him. He stayed in the league until the end of that year. I mean, what did he stay in the league? Another 8 games? He didn't stay in the league. That's the whole point. I don't know if I can find this or not. "11 games after his initial protests in August. He didn't even make it through that season, by the way. He began kneeling in preseason and continued out the year. His final game taking place, he did make it through the year. He became a free agent and never signed again with the NFL. A lot of other reasons. It might have been cap reasons. I don't know. I don't know why he was allowed to stay. I know he didn't play. I don't think he played. No, he did. Started 11 games. So my bad. Whatever. You get as old as me, you don't remember all the details. All I remember is the bottom line is he never got to play again because of, according to some people, what he did and said. And I said he couldn't play. Got too slow and couldn't run anymore. He also couldn't throw the ball. He wasn't accurate. He got to the Super Bowl in a tricked up offense. He was awful. John, thank you. How many teams run the pistol today? They tricked up the offense, so his inaccuracy was not a big deal. Today, and even in 2017, that was important. If Colin Kaepernick were Patrick Mahomes, he would have had a job, no matter what he said or did. Conversation about players that can't play and still get to play even after they say stuff, and when the players don't keep coming. I obviously have you all worked up because there's no punctuation here that helps me read this. There's lots of players who still can't play but still get to play. And every one of them needs to think like you and me, right? Every one of them needs to think like you and me. No. See, we do come from 2 different places, AC, and I'm going to leave it here. I don't think everybody needs to think like me. I think people have the right to think and be wrong. I just do. Again, my problem with the NBA or any sport, because they all do it, celebrate Pride Month or whatever. I don't have a problem with celebrating Pride Month. I could care less. I really don't think we need to celebrate any particular group or ostracize them. Those are 2 extremes. Neither extreme needs to be reached. They can just live their lives like I do. You can marry who you want. You can be with who you want. I don't really care. Doesn't affect me, not even a little bit. He did get contract offers. At some point, he would have taken an offer and been in the league if he could play. Not going to change my mind there. Keep telling me I'm going over my head. Call me stupid. Keep calling me stupid. If you think you're going to offend me so that I'd say, okay, AC, you're right, you're wrong, because I don't get offended. I get bored, which I'm getting right now. I'm not suppressing anything except I'm moving on. You believe the Yankees are better off without Volpe? They're not better off with Volpe and Caballero playing every day, though, John. That part isn't true. Not even true a little bit, I don't think. Now, that doesn't mean they can't upgrade that position. And I think we went through this last summer. I know you're not a Volpe fan. I'm a fan of what I know he can bring. All I need him to do is make every play on off defense. He's good enough defensively, and I don't need his offense being taken to the field and affecting his defense. I don't think this team is better off with what they are playing at shortstop right now. Now, and I don't know that Lombard's ready, or maybe he'd be here. He's not the best, and he's not the worst. That's all I can say. Thank you, AC. Maybe you can find a few more ways to try to offend me this morning. You haven't succeeded so far. I don't get offended by people that call me stupid because I know that I'm not. I don't get offended by people that tell me I do. Maybe I do need my memory checked, but also remember after the fact. And that's what all I'm talking about. You're much smarter than me, and you have a better memory than me, and you hold the moral high ground here, apparently. Kaepernick sealed his own fate because he can't play. I didn't care if he got cut or didn't get cut. If he could play, it'd been good. You went grocery shopping with Paul. You didn't miss anything. Well, we were only talking about one, though. So again, if you don't want me to, if you don't want me to jump to conclusions, then you should be clear about what you're talking about. When we're talking about what he was talking about, that was one specific community. I don't know what MAPS is, by the way. So I don't do well with acronyms. I'm just saying if a community is horrible, you mean? I have no idea what because I have no idea what you're talking about. Again, you're getting a little extreme, AC, and that's where you go off. I'm sorry, that's where you go off my radar. Lombard and Kilby are both better than Volpe. We don't know that at the major league level, though, John. Maybe they are, and maybe it's time to give Lombard a shot. And I haven't seen enough of Kilby to know. Okay, we're going to agree to disagree. I can do that. I have no idea who James T is. No idea. See, here's the thing. I don't pay attention to what these people say. I wouldn't have known what this guy said if it wasn't splashed all over freaking ESPN. Actually, I wouldn't have known who social media. I wouldn't have known what Phil Ivey said. Sorry, not Phil Ivey. Jaden Ivey said if it wasn't splashed all over social media, because who freaking cares what Jaden Ivey thinks about anything? That was about 10 years ago, wasn't it? You're doing a what? A CAC. I am moving on. It's fine. I'm not. I'll put your stuff up, but I'm not even going to. My head's not in the sand, dude. Well, the problem. What's going to happen is going to happen. I can't do this. Time to move on. I am moving on. I hate to skip your comments, AC, and don't take offense. I just can't do this anymore. I'm not saying anybody's stupid, by the way. I am not telling you. If you've noticed, I've taken the high ground through this whole conversation, as I will continue to do. Yeah, we're gonna move on. Well done. Again, I don't think anybody needs protecting. LaGrange is a real deal. Listen, I like what the Yankees have going right now. They're going to need to make a move. You didn't answer me, I don't think, earlier, John. If you did, I missed it, about Spencer Jones' age. I think it's time they need to give him a chance or send him someplace else where he can get a chance. Because this kid has got to find out whether he's a major leaguer or a quadruple A-er. Right? So, whatever. Michael Gott, how are you, my friend? Good to see you here for the last 20 minutes. Let's try to keep it on sports for the last 20 minutes if we can. I don't know. You obviously are much more wrapped up in this than I am, because I don't care anymore. This is what happens in these conversations. I get beat over the head with something long enough. I just don't care anymore. The only time my head was in the scene is with regard to Joe Namath. Joe Namath. Thank you, Matt. I keep him right here next to me all the time to remind me how wrong I was, John. See, I can just move on. Hey, see, I don't want to cut you off. I just don't want to talk about this anymore. If that's putting my head in the sand, then I'm sorry. But you really don't get to tell me what I care about and what I don't, and what my granddaughters will have to live with. You don't get to do that. I know what I want for them. It may be different than what their parents want for them. We know. Actually, we all want the same thing. We just have different opinions about how we want to get there. I said, what the frick are you talking about, man? You have gone around the bend, man. That's the last comment you'll get today. Sorry. I don't normally cut people off from comments, AC, and you're the last one. I agree with you on a lot of stuff. Now you're just freaking rattling off nonsense. I'm too stupid to understand what you're saying, first of all. I'm too old to understand what really happened whenever it happened. I don't hold on to shit the way other people do. I also don't care what people do or say. It doesn't affect me. Those people have no sway. Let's talk sports. So the special forces people are going to leave me hanging. So, okay, when the zombies come, you have done something nobody else has been able to do. Make me defend a liberal. Did I defend a liberal? I don't even know. Conversation is so freaking backwards. The computer strike deal. What's that? The computer strike deal? What is that? Something else I don't know about? What's a computer strike? Did I miss something? Oh, do you mean the ABS? Gotcha. I think you mean the ABS. Yeah. I feel like I've talked to it. I feel like it's another thing I've talked to death. I don't like it, but the umpires suck enough that I have no argument against it. What I don't want, here's what I want. First of all, I'd rather we hadn't taken the genie out of the bottle here, because the genie's never going back in the bottle. But if we're going to go this way and have a computer call balls and strikes, and get rid of the umpire calling balls and strikes altogether, because I don't want the challenge. It's a challenge part that, to me, disrupts the flow of a baseball game, and I hate it. I'm not going to pretend to like it ever. Again, egregious calls we need to overcome, fine, I get it. But again, we're chastising. So we'll say CB Buckner is a great example. Lost 8 challenges in a game. Some of them were egregious. Some of them were a tenth of an inch off the plate. This isn't what we're trying to overcome. And if it is, first of all, the computers aren't infallible. We already know that. They've said that. But if this is what we want, then do away with the umpires calling balls and strikes altogether. Because the disruption of the flow of the game just sucks to me. It really does. So I've got to live with it. The umpires brought this on themselves because they've got a strong union, but they protect people like CB Buckner, who, by the way, is the second longest tenured umpire in baseball and ought to be better than this. And his call at first base was even worse than what he did. It was Tuesday night, I guess. Monday or Tuesday night, was even worse than what he did in balls and strikes on Sunday. Oh, okay. My vote does, actually. I didn't know I lived in a military occupied government. I didn't know that. Thank you for keeping us on, getting us off track here. And listen, not all the umpires are horrible. That's the problem with this too, is that, again, if I'm not mistaken, I heard, and this was again, like Thursday, for a week into the season, 84 pitches had been challenged. And I did some math, like 130 games. That would have been 84 out of, let me see if I still got this number in my head, say 125. So that'd be roughly 16,000, 17,000 pitches. 84 had been challenged, and like 50-50 were overturned. So that means 40, theoretically, 40 out of 16,000 pitches were wrong. Now, others were wrong that they didn't challenge, obviously. I think overall the umpires do a really good job. Some guys suck, and that's why we have this system. And it's not going away. Like I said, the genie doesn't get put back in the bottle. But it is what it is. If I got to see this, is that's what we have to have, then just let that be the ball and strike. No challenges, no anything. Computer calls the pitch, we move on. I hate it, but it's better than this challenge system, which to me, just keep tapping your head. I've watched guys do it 2, 3, 4 times in a row. Eugenio Suarez against, I think in that CB Buckner Seattle Reds game. Did it? It affects places. Again, there are always unintended consequences to these things. You know, when you miss a third strike, you would have been out twice on called third strikes. And I don't think either one of them was more than a guess, because it was, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. Now I'm defending the Red Sox. AC's got me so worked up, I'm now defending the Red Sox. Actually, I'm not worked up at all. It is what it is. He's got a right to say what he wants, just like everybody else does. I don't have to agree with him, and he doesn't have to agree with me, but I get beat up because I don't agree with him. That's the problem. But now I'm defending the Red Sox. Eugenie Suarez gets rung up twice in a big moment, ends up getting a base hit, I think, that affected the game. And I get it. You want to get it right. He shouldn't be out on strikes. But he's this much. It's just a guess. He guessed right twice. Don't sit there and tell me. I listen to guys talk about, whoa, some of these guys have got such good eyes, those strike zones so well. Do they? That's a guess. And I do think, Matt, another thing about this is, and I said this Friday on the MLB update, I think eventually, once, because everybody's still figuring out the strike zone right now, right? Pitchers, catchers, hitters, managers, they're all figuring out what the strike zone is, because the strike zone has changed. Because it's different for everybody. And once you figure out your strike zone, I think the hitters will have a distinct advantage because they got one strike zone to figure out, their own. And it's never going to change from umpire to umpire. That's a really good thing, I guess. But they're going to have a huge advantage over pitchers who have to know dozens and dozens of strike zones on different players. So the hitters are going to have a huge advantage in my mind at some point. There potentially could be a huge advantage. They're going to have an advantage no matter what. Could be a huge advantage once everybody starts to figure this out. Unintended consequence of trying to do what you think is right. I thought the Brewers, again, it's early. It's a week into the season, right? And I did think the Brewers would take a step back, trading Peralta, trading their third baseman who finished third in the Rookie of the Year balloting to the Red Sox. But Pat Murphy, I think, is really, really good. By the way, a guy who, and we talk about Tony Vitello a lot, going from college to the pros. Pat Murphy had a very successful career. Now, he came to the Major League Baseball for a good 10 years before he got a manager's job. He didn't come straight from college. But his head coaching and managing experience was all in college. Notre Dame, I think someplace else besides Notre Dame, but very successful, which is another reason I think Tony Vitello will be successful in the long run. But Pat Murphy's done a great job. I think he's won back-to-back Manager of the Year awards, hasn't he? Am I wrong in that? Or I feel like that's right. My memory's not so good. I sit here and I say that all the time, by the way. I guess I don't need it pointed out to me. What was I saying? Yeah, he's a great manager, and he'll find a way maybe to win this. I just think they're a little light. I think Chris and Yelich, time's going to catch up with him. Time in his bad back is going to catch up with him. I think their pitching staff is weaker, obviously, without Peralta. I worry about Mizorowski's really good if he doesn't get hurt. I think he's going to be one of the really good ones. I think their bullpen might be a little weak. I'm not sure they got enough. I don't have Mate winning that Central Division, quite frankly. I have the Cubs winning it, and actually Pittsburgh finishing second, Brewers third. But so far, Pat Murphy's done himself a great job. Great pictures, by the way. I was talking about C.B. Buckner. I was talking about C.B. Buckner and the bad week that he had and the bad call at first base. I mean, the shots of Murphy and who was in the other dugout? Was it Cash? Was it Kevin Cash? I'm trying to remember who they were playing now. I feel like it was Cash. Anyway, they're both laughing, trying to figure out what the hell C.B. Buckner must have been looking at. Oh, God, right. Anyway, sorry we got off on a tangent there that I didn't expect to happen today, but my own fault for pushing the conversation. I wanted to have, some open dialogue about it, not be preached to. But it happens, and I know we lost some viewers today because of it. That's okay. We'll get them back. But, stuff happens. What else did I talk about today? Well, we're going to wrap it up anyway because we got about 4 minutes, and I got to go get my mother-in-law and get to brunch, meet everybody at brunch by noon here. So we got the Final Four. We got our Michigan pick in for Monday. We'll talk about that on the Mac and Jack. I haven't done that in a while. The Jack and Keith weekend playbook. Thinking about you, Mac, on this Easter Sunday, obviously. We got the Marlins and Yankees finishing up their series today. Yankees off to that 7-1 start. Great job. You got the NBA winding down these next 2 weeks, getting ready for the playoffs, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to have a nice, probably a nice old-fashioned, probably a little bourbon old-fashioned, calm the old nerves today. Not that I don't really need them. I mean, there was a time that I would have gotten myself really worked up today, but what's the point? There's really no point to any of it. And, if we lost a friend because of it, then that's life. I can't deal with it. I don't want that to happen, but I don't know what I'm going to have, quite frankly. We're going to a brunch buffet, so there'll be ham. And it's a matter of what I have with my ham, I suppose, but I'm angry. AC, if you're still there, I'm not angry, bud. I'm not angry. Anyway, it is what it is. We'll have some fun. We're going to have some fun, though. You have a great Easter, too, John, with whatever it is you're going to do. Matt, you have a great one as well. If you're still there, AC, I'll respond to your messages later. I'm not going to have time right now. I'm not angry. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at anything. I just, this conversation and it's fine. I'll read your message and I'll respond. I'm not angry. I'm not going to unfriend you. I'm not going to do anything. It's just, it is what it is. It's all good. Jelly beans in my beer. I did have a jelly bean this morning. I haven't had jelly beans in the longest time, man. Anyway, guys, great Sunday, great Sunday morning, great conversation. Listen, there's times are going to happen where we don't agree, and I'm all good with that. Love you, AC. We can disagree. Oh, good. I'm not hearing any music. There we go. So we'll see you tomorrow morning with Jack on Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook, and we'll see you throughout the week as well. You guys have a great Easter. Bye-bye.